Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Nasdaq. It is time for another update. Additionally, an update was requested by one of the followers and I wanted to let you know that anyone can make these requests and I'll most likely cover them, especially if there is an actionable trade setup to follow. And in the case of this chart, we have been tracking this very bullish interpretation where we would have a 1-2 setup and now we would be within the larger wave 3 to the upside. Based on the available structure, we can even look for an ideal target for such a wave 3, and that would be the 138.2% extension of the wave 1 around the 154k level. And I personally, based on the even on the current interpretation, would see no issue with achieving those price targets within this larger wave 3 to the upside. In fact, I could very easily see it surpassed within a couple of interpretations. So this could be expected to take many decades. Of course, it could take a significant amount of time before we actually get to those levels, but I would see no issue that we actually get to them within this wave 3. And this is, again, within the current interpretation where we have a 1, 2, 3 that could form a top sooner rather than later, a wave 4 correction and a 5th to the upside. But realistically, I provided this to you in the previous video. This could also extend, and this could have been only an internal wave 3 that is building. We could be tracking this as a series of 1-2 setups within this area. We would have here a 3 1-2 setups, and then this would be a third wave up, and then we would need a fourth, fifth, fourth, fifth, fourth, fifth to complete the entire wave 3. This would be the internal wave 3 to the upside, yeah? The entire internal wave 3. And even then, we would still need a larger correction in the wave 4 and the 5th wave to complete the entire pattern, yeah, the entire count within the wave 3 to the upside. And in such a case, there is really no reason to think that, yeah, we shouldn't expect those targets, we shouldn't expect those levels. Sure, there may be some more significant corrections along the way, but as far as it goes, I'm looking for continued upside on this chart. Now, we won't necessarily be focusing too much on which structure is forming within this area, whether it's the white interpretation, whether it's the green interpretation. We are instead going to focus more on the internal 5th wave to the upside, within which I am actually tracking continued upside momentum, yeah, upside movement. And within this area, I have been tracking it as a larger ending diagonal. Here we would have a 1-2 setup, a third wave up, fourth wave down, and the 5th wave that would be unfolding within this area. This isn't the only count that I could be tracking, especially if we manage to build here a 4th and a 5th, which seems very likely at this point. Yeah, we did hold the area of support for the wave 4, and we did start the reversal to the upside. But if we manage to build here an entire 5-wave move to the upside, I can track this as a wave A, part of the larger 5th wave, oops, not this one, part of the larger 5th wave. I would expect then a correction in a wave B and then still a wave C to the upside, yeah? If we manage to build this entire 5-wave move to the upside, we are tracking internally, which we will discuss more about in a moment, we will track even further continuation after a correction. And that could be within this current interpretation on the chart. It could be within the interpretation that this is instead a 1-2 setup and this is part of the wave 3 in an ABC pattern. It doesn't really matter, we would then expect a 4th and a 5th, and we would still be looking for continued upside. But for this, it's actually very important that we build the next wave within this area, and that is because we need the 5-wave pattern, yeah? That is suggestive of further continuation higher, because within the ending diagonal, the entire ending diagonal in this area, to complete a 5th wave, I would need to see an ABC structure. I would need to see a 3-wave move, not a 5-wave move. If we build the 5-wave move, I'm looking for continued upside. And for those reasons, I have been tracking just that, yeah? There was actually no reason to look for a failure, for a completion of this chart, as long as we were holding the relevant areas of support. And here we have been tracking this idea of a 1-2 setup, a third wave up, fourth wave down, and then a 5th wave. This is also within an ending diagonal, and I believe we have formed a top within the wave 3. I believe we might have formed a bottom within the wave 4. We did get, after all, into the area of support, and we created a nice reaction to the upside. In the previous video, we were actually looking for a possible extension of this wave 3, but yeah, clearly we failed to hold the area of support. We extended down into the larger area of support. Now this interpretation is no longer important. And for this 5th to the upside, since we are tracking a large ending diagonal, I'm once again tracking an ABC pattern. This is expected to be built to have the possibility to track this wave 5 as full, as part of a full count. If I see a 5-wave move to the upside once again within this area, I will be once again looking for extensions further because again, I'm tracking an ending diagonal. I'm tracking a larger ABC pattern to consider this count full. Now, this doesn't necessarily seem to be an issue. It doesn't seem to have problems creating an ABC pattern because even though I could perhaps track this as a wave 1 to the upside and a wave 2, this doesn't seem to be building an impulse within this area, which is suggestive that, yeah, this is indeed forming a wave C. Now, in terms of resistance, what could we track? Well, we would have here the 78.6% retracement to look for, but it is actually very important that we have broken it, yeah? We have broken it several times. It is highly suggestive that a bottom is in place for this correction in the wave 4. Yeah, keep in mind, we were expecting a quite tiny correction within this wave 4 based on the sheer size of the wave 2. We expect similar proportions. Well, this was respected. We have gotten into the area of support anyway, and we did manage to break above the area of resistance a few times already. Yeah, and for this reason, I'm not even going to focus too much on this area of resistance here. It is rather being used as support here a couple of times already, and I'm instead going to focus on the ABC structure that I can track within this wave 5 to the upside. And here I would consider this to be a wave A up, here a wave B down, and a wave C that I would need to complete this count. For this wave C, we could be looking for an ideal target at the 100% extension of the wave A around the 26.7k level. Yeah, that is around the ideal target for the wave C. But based on the internal structure within this area, I could actually see extensions because here I would consider this to be a 1-2 setup, and now I would be tracking a wave 3 to the upside. Now, it so happens that within this wave C, once again, we seem to be dealing with an ending diagonal, meaning that within the wave 3, I would only need an ABC structure to consider this pattern full. And once we actually complete here the wave 1, 2, 3, 4th, and 5th, I have a full count. I could see further extensions. This could be building an ABC into a large wave A. We could get another wave B and a wave C to extend even higher, but we would need to be prepared for a more significant top to be in place at that point. Now, within this structure, I am still looking for this wave 3. We can even look for an ideal target for such a pattern, and that would be once again at the 138.2% extension of the wave 1 around the 26.6k level. That is actually right below the 100% extension of the wave A. The ideal target for the wave C, not the target. Yeah, it could get there, but it doesn't need to, and it could also extend that level. It is just generally a level it is drawn towards. But if the internal structure tells us that we have high probabilities we would actually need to extend higher, we should focus more on that. Now, in terms of support, I will be also leaving here this area for the AB setup, because in this interpretation, I could see it that we actually get a reset within the wave B. Yeah, we could have a reset and basically restart the wave C, in which case I want to be prepared. I want you to have the entire area of support which extends all the way down to the 25.2k level. Now, in the wave C, if we have already started it, I'm looking for a 5-wave pattern. And since we actually don't have a 5-wave move to the upside, it seems, within this wave 1, I would need to once again be tracking an ending diagonal. And it would still have the same area of support for a wave 2, but it would not be, unfortunately, a high probability trade setup from its own time frame. Now, we will be tracking this, let's say, in white, because it will heavily overlap with the larger area of support that we have here for the B interpretation, but it is part of the same scenario. Yeah, if we manage to hold here the 78.6% retracement at the 25.4k level, we can still track continuation higher with the same probabilities within the wave C. Yeah, a larger retracement within this correction in the wave 2 is not a problem, but since we have here a wave 2 correction, I would expect to see a 3-wave pattern to the downside, a 3-wave pattern into this area of support. So far, we did touch the 50% retracement quite nicely reacted also, but I wouldn't consider this pattern necessarily complete, because if this forms an ABC structure, which is highly expected to, I would like to see still another 4th and a 5th to complete this wave 2 correction. Well, in such a case, we can track an internal area of resistance here for wave 4, and this would be for the idea of an impulse. So we are watching the levels between the 25.6k all the way, well, this is on a very small time frame. We can actually drag this around to see them better, but yeah, the 25.575k all the way up to the 25.63k, let's say. Yeah, if we break above the 50% retracement, it's a strong signal that this structure is not going to form the impulse to the downside, but it's not going to provide necessarily a confirmation that, yeah, the third wave to the upside is already starting. Now, keep in mind, this is also unfolding as an ending diagonal, so within the wave 3 we would expect an ABC structure, not an entire 5-wave pattern, but we would expect it to still get to the ideal target of the wave 3, yeah? And assuming we have indeed already formed the bottom within the wave 2, which I don't necessarily prefer, I would be watching the ideal target here at the 138.2% extension at the 26.2k level. But for now, there really isn't much else to add. I would prefer another low, once again within this wave 2, a slight reset of the wave 2 bottom, nothing too significant, and then I would like to see the third wave unfold within this ABC structure, and yeah, ultimately build this larger wave C to build the even larger wave 3. After that, we expect another wave 4 correction and a fifth wave to complete the entire pattern. But for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.